This podcast is being sponsored by the Rise Up Project.
Trust the process. Pain is power. All great things take time. I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Hello everyone, welcome to the UnBreakables Podcast. I am your host, Jay. Today we have a very special guest, Airick Geee. He is actually a return guest. He was on our first season, episode 3. So I'm really excited to have him back. It's been, about 5 months?
About 5 months, yeah, 5-6 months around there.
Man, so I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me again.
Thank
you so much. It means a lot.
I know a lot has changed, and you've been working extremely hard.
Yes.
And you have a new album.
Yes.
And it's been 6 months in the making?
6 months in the making, yeah. So after our first interview, which was around 5-6 months ago, I remember looking back at the footage, and you asked me a question. You said, "Oh, are you working on anything in the coming months?"
I remember that.
And I said, "Yeah, I want to work on an album." I wasn't working on it, but I said, "Yeah, I want to work on it." And you asked me, "What would you name it if you had one?" I said Imbalance, and 6 months later I have Imbalance.
There it is.
So it's so cool. It's
okay,
like full
so
circle.
First and foremost, what does Imbalance mean to you, and why that name?
So Imbalance, it's a double meaning, for a lot of reasons, just because of the imbalance means, just because I'm very big on mental health. So imbalance, a chemical imbalance in the brain, depression. I suffered from depression for a long time. But imbalance also means to me, because the album is just diverse of like different moods of music. So it's like imbalance, but in a good way, just because it dives into different tastes of music, from like Latin music. I have like a Latin song, I have like a party song, I have like a feel good song, just different types of imbalance of moods, so it's cool. It's a double meaning.
That makes sense. I like that, and I could agree with you on that one too. Like, depending on my mood is my choice of music.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love the name, I love the artwork. It's very it's just very deep.
Thank you.
So the album drops March 6th.
March 6th, yeah.
Man,
so
what time? Is there any specific time?
It's gonna be, I was gonna do like New York time, which is like 9 over here, but it's gonna drop at midnight over here. Yeah.
So you guys can check it out. It's available on all platforms.
All platforms, March 6th. Like literally every platform you can think of: Spotify, iTunes, everything. Even YouTube. There's like a YouTube music category. But all platforms. You guys can go check that out.
And you have a specific single, right now, Window Shop?
Window Shopping, yeah.
I've heard it. Great song, and I know you have over almost 40,000 streams today.
Yeah, altogether, yeah, it's probably around there, 40,000 streams, which is my most streamed song out of like all the catalog of music that I have to date. So
yeah, because I remember when you came last July
sometime.
You were the single All Day,
yeah,
that hit on the radio.
So
too. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool to see the progress with things, with different songs that I put out, and how it does, and people's reactions to things. So I know Window Shopping was actually on the radio too, that my manager got it on. So it's cool to just see people vibe out.
That's pretty awesome. And first and foremost, we just want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much.
This is a huge milestone for you, and you're so young, and you have 2 songs on the radio, over 40,000 streams. Like, this is a huge accomplishment. And like I said, for those of you that have watched episode 3, man, like, he touches so much on his past story, on the loss of his mother, and how he's been able to channel that energy into his music, into his lyrics, and making a difference. And I know you also touched on mental health, right?
Yes.
So going back just a little bit, how would you say within the process, right? Because I know a lot of us, we always want to get to the destination, right?
Yes.
But sometimes we fail to enjoy our journey, enjoy and embrace the process. So what can you say in the last 5 to 6 months from the time that you were here? What have you learned, and what was the journey? What was the process for you?
Definitely patience was a huge role in making this album, just because it plays a lot of different things, but patience is one of the key things, just because you can't rush a project like this, especially if you want it to be something that you put out. You want it to be very organic, very just that you did your all and you put everything into it. Like,
your
okay,
blood, sweat, and tears, basically.
So I did everything. It's good. I can put it out. But definitely patience. Over the course of the 6 months, it was a lot of back and forth with like the producer, writing too. Writing was like a huge. I have writer's block all the time, and I'm pretty sure other artists out there deal with the writer's block as well. So there's times where I was like trying to write. I had a writing session, and I just couldn't get the right message out.
So within those times when, because I could relate to writer's block, and I will tell you, I am not the best. At least I don't think I am. I've been told otherwise. But when it comes to writing like my episodes in the sense of publishing our episode, I always have a bio, a description of each guest.
Okay.
And I really have to be in the moment because I really want to hit home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the sense of bring out those emotions and writing. And I get those writer blocks. So how do you get out of that? Like, what do you do in those times?
It's really hard to say when it comes to writer's block, because people handle it very differently. Whether I've always was told, and like other people that taught me to deal with writer's block, just push through it and just write, even if it's like things that you would just trash later. Just write it down, because it's something in there you could probably use later on. And
you'll be able to repurpose.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So with writing these songs over the course of the 6 months, it was just I had to dive in and tap into different moods that I was in. So if it was like a very heartfelt song, which I have one of the songs on there, it's called Imbalance. So the EP is called Imbalance without the ED, and there's a song called Imbalance with the ED, and it's featuring Justice, the guy on All Day. So that's a very heartfelt song, and I talk about my mom in there. So I had to kind of dig deep and like try to find those emotions and bring them out again, to write what I want to write. And then there's other music on there, like there's a party song or a Latin song where it's kind of not, so it's fun. So it's just different moves I have to bring out when I'm trying to write.
Man, that's pretty awesome. I'm excited to listen to the entire album. And who would you say inspired you to writing this album?
Man, as far as artists or just people in general?
Let's say artists.
Artists, definitely Rex Life Raj. He's an artist from the Bay, and I actually met him recently. My manager took me to this Grammy pre-party. It was this record label called Empire. Shout out Empire. I love the record label. There's like so many like good artists on there that I listen to like on the daily, like I don't know if you heard of Rex Life, Raj, Saba, all these people. Most of them are like not like on the radio and stuff like that, but
more like underground,
kind of like that. Okay. But their music is very just influential to me, and it kind of inspired me to write this whole album. But I met Rex Life Raj recently, and he's just so down to earth. And meeting him, I was like, I don't really get starstruck with people, but him, I was like, well, I listen to your music all the time, like. So definitely artist wise, Rex Life Raj was one of the artists that inspired me to write this. Always Kid Cudi. I mentioned that probably last time. Kid Cudi and Saba probably too.
So if you were, let's just say, because we know you're gonna hit it, your album, you're gonna go big. This is just the beginning.
Hope so.
So if you can record a song with any artist, who would it be?
Like one collab, because I've thought this out many times.
Top 3 collabs.
Top 3 collabs, always, like I've always wanted to collab with Kid Cudi, just because like I've been listening to him since a kid, like high school, like even middle school. I would listen to his albums, read articles about him, look at interviews, look up like his performances before I seen him live. Kid Cudi and probably, like I said, Rex Life Raj, just because I've been on him for like the past couple months that helped me write this, and somebody else other than like Saba, because those are like my top 3 artists. Who am I? Logic's cool. YB and Cordae. YB and Cordae is really cool. Just artists like that, yeah.
So like I know you mentioned in the past where, for instance, Kid Cudi, you were able to relate to him with the music that he writes about, right? So what kind of artist do you want to be? Like what kind of art? Like when people look at you, listen to your music, like how do you intend to leave a legacy in that sense? Like I could, like for me in particular, I love Tupac. I love Eminem. I love Drake. Those are just artists that I can pull depending on my emotions or what I'm feeling. So like what kind of artists do you want to be remembered as? Man,
that's it's not a hard question, but it's a question that gets me really
deep question.
It's a deep question. I mean, definitely for the legacy I want to leave behind is for my work, and that I at least helped and touched one person out there with this, whether if it's this album or future you know, songs or past songs, whatever it is, that I can just help them in any way that they can relate to, you know. And although there are some songs on here that are just fun and just songs you just want to listen to while you're just driving, and there's songs that you like listen to on this album and you're just like, wow, like I can relate to that, or this and that, I'm going through this, or whatever it is. But you know, I tell people, because they ask me like, what's the meaning behind you know, the album cover, and as you guys can see, there's like a lot of, it looks like I just got beat up, you know. A lot of scars, you know, blood, everything. And then the background is supposed to symbolize blessings and heaven and just good things to come, while the
very positive colors.
Yeah, very positive and just poppy colors, you know. And then the scars are supposed to represent the hardships I've been through in my life, all the hits I've taken, like losing my mom and just other things along the way throughout my life. And that's why it's kind of like I'm standing with like I'm sitting down with my chin up, and I'm just like taking all the hits, but heaven's behind me, God's behind me. That's the intent I wanted.
Of course, and I can definitely see that through the artwork. So it's one of those things, like you're bruised, but you're not broken.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're still standing strong.
Exactly. Yes.
That's amazing. And I'm sure, like I said this time and time again, your mother would be so proud of you.
Thank you.
And for you being so young, like you're still doing it, you're still striving, no matter what, no matter the punches, you keep going. So in our last interview, you talked about depression.
Yeah.
So would you say that those are things that you still struggle with?
I'm a lot better at coping with depression, for sure, just because losing my mom, kind of like throughout high school. I remember the last interview we had, I went like all the way back, like when I first started, you know, with all like mental illness. But I've definitely learned how to cope with things over the years, you know, just handling my day-to-day life better, you know, without, you know, there's people that turn to like drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. And sometimes that's not always the answer to things, you know. It's really never the answer to things, to be honest. But I do know people that, whether if it's, you know, self-medicated or whatever it is, like it's always good to dig in within and try to, you know, sort those problems out on your own. And once you do that and you face your fears and like you see your demons eye to eye, things just are much easier. Because I was kind of forced to do that when I lost my mom. I felt alone, so I was like, wow, like I really truly feel alone now. And I was brought to all these, you know, what am I gonna do now? I'm still a kid. I still feel like I was 20 years old, you know. I was just, I didn't know what to do.
And how old are you now, Airick?
I'm 23.
23. Wow.
I'm 23
this was only,
now.
what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was 3 years ago, 2017. So I still struggle with it, you know, time to time. The depression, you know, comes back, or, you know, just sadness. I wouldn't say depression. I would say more of just the feeling of sadness.
So what advice can you give that person that's listening on the other side, that is going through a hard time, or let's say lost their mom, lost their dad, and literally feels like they have no purpose? Like, especially with what you went through and the experience you went through, whether they were different emotions, what advice can you give that person?
If anybody's listening, whether if they lose any loved one at that, whether if it's a mom or dad or just any loved one that they were really close to, you know, from me experiencing it firsthand and losing, you know, my best friend, which was my mom, the pain really never goes away. It's always there. You know, I always get reminded of my mom with anything, you know. I was driving here and I can smell like a certain food. I'm like, oh, my mom liked it, you know. But it's good, you know. I love to be reminded of any loved one, just because it keeps the memory alive. But, you know, the pain's always going to be there. But if I were to say anything, just to take that pain and use it to grow, because that's when you're going to grow, not only just like in your circle, but just grow in all branches of your life, just because it's just such a hard thing to go through, that it just springs you forward to just new possibilities of everything, you know.
And it pretty much takes you out of your comfort zone.
For sure, yeah.
You know, especially like you said, from not necessarily being depressed, but feeling alone, you know, and you having to grow, in 3 years, like this is amazing. You could have gone a different direction. You could have used your pain as, oh, this is my circumstance, poor me, as the victim mentality, but instead you used it to get you to the next level. Yeah. And I think if anybody's able to take anything away, you're an example. Like I get it, things happen, but there are really no excuses.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I try to tell people, and not trying to be like a preacher or anything like that, but I like when people ask me, at least I tell them like my story and what I've been through and what they can probably take away from that. And yeah, that's very true what you say, because I could have went 2 different paths. I could have just like, oh yeah, like, you know, this happened, I lost my mom, and you know, pity me, I'm just gonna go and throw my life away and do this and do that. Like, no, I chose to make that promise that I made, that I think I mentioned the last time, you know, when my mom was, you know, still, you know, in the hospital and she can hear me. I promised her, I'm like, Mom, no matter what happens, like, I promise I'm gonna make you proud, and I'm gonna keep whatever I do, whether if it's music or whatever I do in my life, I'm always gonna just, you know, make her proud and just do my 100% in anything I do in my life.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Is give it 100, and you're doing great. And especially because you have a message behind your album. And like you said, your goal is to inspire through your lyrics.
Yes.
And I'm sure, you know, we'll be able to see that. And, you know, it's one of those things, like, for instance, I use Justin Bieber as an example. And that's a perfect artist, right?
Yeah.
You know, started his career at a really, really young age. Fame,
I actually really love Justin Bieber.
You
A
know
lot of people hate on him, but
you know what's so
really
crazy? And I was just telling my partner this the other day. I'm like, I never really liked him until his recent album, Changes.
You know what? You too, right? Yeah, her too.
The same way. I just felt like, you know, I don't know. I had my own reservations towards him, but I also feel like I never gave him a chance. And it's one of those things, like, I can't blame him for the way that he turned out. You come on, give anybody that's young money, fame, everything. What are you gonna do with it? But him going through the situation that he went through, how he disappeared from the limelight for a couple years. It only shows him that he's human. And that new documentary that he has, Seasons, like, he talks about just the raw stuff. Like, I hit depression. You know, I went to pills, to alcohol. Like, I pretty much lost everything. I didn't want the fame. Wow. So that comes to my next question. Like, who's to say where you're gonna be in the next 1 year, 6 years, 5 years, whatever, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even know in the
you
next
wouldn't know,
year.
But what I'm trying to say is, when money comes, when fame comes, like, do you ever think about that? Like, not every person gets 1-2 songs on the radio. Yeah. Like, how are you gonna be grounded? Like, what are those tools? What are those strategies? Like, how do you stay grounded today?
I mean, the people I have around me, family, friends, you know, just people that I love, that are in my circle, that I keep in my circle, always have me grounded all the time, you know. And I always tell myself, you know, whether if it's the only thing that's going to change is the money in my pocket, whether if, you know, hopefully this does, you know, blow up and go somewhere where I don't become half of these artists you see that are on, you know, on TMZ or whatever you see in the tabloids. But I just always tell people that, like, no matter what, like, I'm always going to be that same, you know, funny, goofy, ambitious guy, you know, hardworking. And, you know, watching this interview, I'm always telling people, like, I always keep it humble with everything I do, whether, like, I meet people and, like, they don't know I have songs on the radio, and, like, I don't really care to be that type of artist, like, oh, what's up, you know, I have this, I have that, or like, whatever. Cocky or arrogant, yeah. You know. It's just like, I rather let the work speak for itself, because it's there, and I don't really need to say anything, because it's there, you know. Yeah,
absolutely. So, Airick, what would you say would be your top 3 tools for success that have helped you come to where you are today?
Top 3 tools for success.
Tools, strategies that have helped you.
For sure, family, and if since we're touching bases on that, about my circle and keeping me grounded, I feel like, one of the stepping stones to success is having people that love you around you. You know, very important. That's, like, super important, just because if you don't have that energy around you, or just not good energy, all bad energy, then it's not gonna push you to grow, or no one's gonna push you to grow, none of that, you know.
You're gonna remain stagnant.
Exactly. So I think that's number one. That's, like, the foundation of things. People that have a good team just around them all the time. Number 2 is for sure, like, your work ethic, and you know, important. Yeah, you have to, if you want something, whatever it is, whether if it's like music, or you're in school and you want to graduate, and whatever it is, like you have to put in the time and the hard work. It's not just gonna come to you overnight. It took me 6 months to do this project, and and even longer for window shopping, like, because I was like going in and out through ideas with window shopping, and I put the time in it and it was on the radio. Cool. I imagine if I didn't put that time and I just put it out, it probably wouldn't have been, or it probably wouldn't have.
And your music would speak for itself.
Exactly. Sure. Yeah. So for sure, number one, the foundation, your circle around you. Number two, your work ethic. Number three, for success, 3 tools. I'm gonna go back to patience, because I feel like you have to have a lot of that, just because it goes back to, it's not going to happen overnight, and you have to go through the struggle. And like you said, it's not about what is that saying? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about the
journey. It's about the journey. It and embracing it.
Yeah. So, and that's what a lot of artists that I meet tell me, that are established artists. They always say, like, look, man, like, enjoy the journey. Like, it's not about where you're going to be at in 5 years. Like, this, what I'm doing now, what you're doing now, anybody that's following their passion, that's like, enjoy those rides, the downfalls, the high ups, like, enjoy those, because that's what makes you at your, where you want to be later on. So.
Absolutely. Because sometimes we as humans fail to appreciate things, or we take things for granted, and it's really because we're so focused on I just want to get there already. I just want to get there. But then what happens once you get there? You're like, oh crap, you know what I mean? Like, you've reached success. It's just another check mark, but that doesn't necessarily bring fulfillment. Yeah. So for any of you guys that are watching, enjoy the process and enjoy the failures, anything that you're going through, the struggles. Remember that hard work and discipline, like Airick said, you need a strong foundation, you need patience, like, you need a strong circle, and you will succeed, but you cannot give up. You cannot give up. Never.
You got to keep on pushing through those boundaries, and just, people are going to doubt too. People always doubt, and you just got to just push it through.
Absolutely. So, Airick, here at the Unbreakables, we have the deep dive with Jay, right?
Awesome.
So I'm not asking you, the deck is asking you.
Okay.
So you'll be able to select three different cards, and then you can read one by one and then answer from there.
Okay, cool. So just 3 different ones?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to pick 3 from the middle then. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Okay, what's your first card say?
First card says, what are you looking forward to this week? My EP dropping. This upcoming week, March 6th, on all streaming platforms. But yeah, that, and just, I mentioned I'm having like a EP album listening party, which I never done before, and I wasn't planning to do it, but my manager was like, you should do it. And it's hearing people's reactions,
that's important.
That's feedback. Really important too. So over the course of like these months that I've had all the songs from the EP, the album, I've been showing people individually, like from a best friend or like family members, and I'll show them from start to finish, and they would tell me, like, oh, I would ask them actually, like, what's your favorite song off the EP? And it's crazy to see, like, your favorite song might not be their favorite song.
Right.
People have different,
because it triggers and get to each their own.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see that, on Thursday, people's, I guess, favorite song off the EP, what they prefer and stuff. So it's cool. It's cool to see that. Next card says, who's your role model? That's a tough one. Because, like I said, my mom was like my best friend, but first, number one, mom. Second, I guess, role model. In what circumstance? Like, artist-wise, or just in general?
Let's say your day-to-day, like, role model. It could be a role model. It could be a mentor. Someone that can help, that has helped you through your journey, or maybe just someone that you look up to and aspire to. It can be anything that you want.
Man, there's a lot. I'm gonna stick with Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi, he's. I've seen countless interviews of him. At interviews at radio stations or on TV or whatever it is, and he always keeps the same formula with who he is as a person. He's never really
see him,
he's
like,
never switched up or anything like that. He's always kept the same mentality with everything. So definitely Kid Cudi, like aspire to be not just like, I don't want to copy him or anything, but I aspire to be as great as him for sure. Next card says, what is a secret of yours that you've been hiding?
Ooh.
Man.
Girlfriend, you listening?
No. A secret I've been hiding.
This album, no.
This album, man. This album. Actually, the features on the album, if I were to say it. Because there's actually a feature on there that, I guess I can say it now just because we're on promo week. There's actually a guy on there named John Conception, which he's from Toronto, Canada, and Justin Bieber actually reposted because he did a cover to Yummy, and Justin Bieber got his cover and put it on his YouTube channel, and it has like over, I don't know, like 5 million views.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's kind of cool that Justin Bieber recognized him. But I think that's like all the features on there are really dope, but for sure, like that's somebody that's out of my circle, because a lot of features on the
Or within your circle.
Or within my circle. But John Conception, he lives, in Toronto, Canada, so it was cool working with somebody like that.
How was that collaboration?
It was cool. It was something totally different, just because a lot of the collabs I do, like I said, are in my circle, so it's like more physical, like in person. We'll meet up, we'll have a writing session. For John Conception, it was kind of different, just because I can't. I'm not gonna, he lives far, so it was more like all through Instagram, and he would send me vocals back, and I would like, this is dope, this and that. And he would ask me, what should I write it about? He's a super, super talented artist, singer,
very humble,
super humble, just super talented. But yeah, he's a feature on there that a lot of people probably aren't expecting to.
So what
see.
song is he on?
He's on the second song. So actually, the EP is gonna have, technically it's 6 songs, but it's 8 tracks. Okay. So there's an intro. So it's like a story. So you hear the intro, and it's my friend Humble. He goes by Humble. He was the one that was actually on my mom's song, the Paradise song, and he's doing like a little skit talking about, all you hear about this guy Airick, like he lost his mom and like he blew up immediate after. That's a testimony, like when God has hands on you, like nothing can stop you. So that's like the first thing you hear.
Ooh,
and then you hear like a cassette tape. He's like, yo, like peep this. You hear a cassette tape, and then it goes into the first song, which is Boondocks, and that's a solo track just with me. And then the second song number 2 is with John Conception. It's called Gonna Be a Party. That's the party song I told you about.
Yeah, I gotta listen to that one.
So there's a lot of cool, different features on there. And there's another song that means a lot to me, which is Manifested, which is a solo track of mine that actually, after Window Shopping, was my first song that I wrote off the EP. So it was like, I've had that song for a while. I just finished it like a couple months ago, right before I was like finalizing everything. So it was really cool.
Man, so I gotta ask you, Airick, what is next after this album drops?
Man,
what's next?
Well, that's a hard question too, but I do have plans for everything, like for sure. Like this is an EP, so this is the difference between an album and an EP is an EP stands for extended play. So technically, like in the industry's eyes, like this wouldn't be considered like a full album, because a full album is considered either 30 minutes or longer, or 8 tracks to 12 tracks.
How many does this one have?
6.
Okay.
So yeah, you can call it, I guess, an album. People call it an album, which is fine. Like I don't mind, but technically in like the industry's eyes, like it's an EP. But what I want to do like after this is like I want to do a full album, like a full 8 to 12 track album, and like fully like dive into just tap into a different sound than what I've been doing, just try different things and stuff like that. But for sure, dropping more singles. I already have like a single I'm working on after this drops. Like I have more music to drop after that. Doing more shows, because I think after we had the interview,
you've done a couple, right?
I've done a few shows afterwards, and that was like I was doing shows like back to back, and that was like my first time doing shows like that, because I think the last time I performed was, I don't know, it was a long time ago when I first started this. But yeah, I want to do more shows and just connect with more artists for sure.
So what strategy do you use to connect? I would assume social media, right?
Yeah, for sure, social media. And if you want me to say it like a specific my God, the Pacific Ocean. If you want me to say specific ones, I guess like for sure Instagram, but dude, TikTok is like the new wave of things.
Man,
and like
I'm still trying to get a hang of that. It's just
no, for real. Like, if we're on the topic of TikTok, the reason why one of the main reasons why my streams went up to like 30K and all that is because of TikTok. So
give us your strategy. Give us your little secret. So this should have been your secret.
I should have been, huh? Okay, this is my secret. So basically, like, this guy on TikTok named Carson Elliott, shout out Carson. He has 2 million followers right now.
Damn.
But at the time, when I like met him on social media, he had like 20K on TikTok, and he made this song, what, a talk box, which is it's like a tube you put in your mouth, and you mouth the sound of the word you want to say, and then you play the piano, and wow.
I think you didn't you post this on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, I posted it. So he made this song by or he remixed it. He did a cover to Doja Cat Say So, and it blew up on TikTok, like 40 million views. Like, it blew him up. So he had like 20K, and then that week I hit him up. I was like, yo, are you down to listen to one of my songs I just released, window shopping, and like make a little cover? He's like, yeah, I'm down. And then he hit 1 million like that following week. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
With your song?
No, so this was with the Say So song.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, oh, in my head I'm thinking like, oh, like, because you know when people get a lot of fame, they change up. So I didn't really know him, so I was like, oh, like, I don't know if he's gonna do the video to my song anymore. Yeah. But he was just like, no, I'm still doing it. Like, I'll do it. He had 1 million followers already. I'm like, cool. So that following week, he did the Talkbox video to window shopping, and I think right now it's at like 3.2 million views, which is crazy. No, that's like, I know it's like his video, but it's my song, so technically like 3.1 million people. But that's amazing,
heard especially I mean, if he gives you like credit for it. Window shopping 3.1 million listens, views, like that's amazing.
It's crazy. TikTok is like generating so much power right now. Like, I think there's like a girl on there named Charlie D'Amelio. She's like the TikTok queen. Like, she has over like 32 million followers. So it's crazy to see how much social media is
it's crazy. I have actually I think it was episode 5, they go by the Pseudo Twins. So they've blown up on TikTok. So really? They've done like marketing. They actually have a podcast called the TikToks now, but they're at like almost, I think, 200 to 300K in just like a couple of months.
That's a lot. And that's crazy. In a couple months, it takes people years to get.
But it's crazy. Like, I can barely even get down Instagram.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're able to utilize, that other platform, why not? Because they say that's going to be the next wave.
That's what I've been hearing, and I think it is. I think it is. There's people that say it's not, that it's gonna die out, this and that, but the momentum that it's been going on, like, I think it's gonna stay for a minute. It's gonna be here for a while. But actually, I don't know when this podcast is gonna air, but Carson is actually gonna make another TikTok to one of the songs off the EP. So I'm excited to see that. He right now he has like 2-point-something million. So I could just imagine with 1 million getting me to like 40K. He has 2 million now. I wonder how much is that.
And then are you reposting it as well on yours?
Yeah.
That's
So
you're leveraging.
I'm getting everything. I'm trying to just it's just different strategies of marketing I've been trying to like dabble and get into, just because I always tell artists this, and this is something any aspiring artists out there that can take from this. Like, it's one thing to make good. You can be like the best singer, the best artist out there, rapper, whatever you're aspiring to be, but if you don't have that push that you're pushing your music out, like, it's not don't expect it to go anywhere. You got to put something behind it, some promo, don't just make the song and put it out and like, Absolutely. Oh, there it is,
Absolutely.
That happens probably like 1 in like, I don't know, 3 million, like, or probably more. Like, the chances are very slim with that. Like, you have to put the work in. That the same work you put in to making the song is the same work you have to put into like the promo and getting it out there and pushing it. And that's what I've just been learning a lot.
So what are your a couple of your marketing strategies that you can tell your viewers or audience?
Well, the two main ones is, other than social media, because that's the main one. Social media is like crazy. Like, you have to have your numbers right on social media with everything. So social media is number 1. Number 2 is like going to events. Like, I can't stress this enough. Like, a lot has happened ever since that interview that we did, because everything just started to go really busy with the music, So my manager actually was sending me out to all these events afterwards. I don't know whether if it was after or before, but I went to this event at Power 106.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I went to this event. It was Powerhouse. It was called Powerhouse before, but they named it the Liftoff this past year. And I was like with these big sharks, you know, with like G-Eazy and YG and Ty Dolla $ign, all these people, and just being amongst them was just enough for me. I was like, wow, like this is crazy.
How'd
you know,
feel?
Dude,
unreal.
It was unreal. Like just seeing it was cool. Like I love the experience, but just being there, that was like my first time like being like backstage
in proximity with those people.
Yeah,
right?
with everything, because you know these people are like huge. You know, like I remember seeing T-Pain getting off stage, and he was talking to G-Eazy, and I was just like, dang, dude, like these people are like huge over the world, and they're just right here just talking like regular people, you know, like nonchalant. So I had the chance to talk a little bit to G-Eazy and to Ty Dolla $ign, super, you know, humble people. You know, you just never know with people, you know, sometimes it's a hit or miss, but they're super dope, super amazing talent out there for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, just going to events is like a number two for marketing, I guess, because ever since I've been going to these events, I've been linking up with other people. I got to go to the actual station to Power 106. That was a dream come true too, just because like I've always listened to Power 106 as a kid, Kiss FM, all these radio stations. So the fact that I got to be there, you
got that opportunity.
Yeah, it was so surreal, and just meeting other DJs too. You know, like Chuck Dizzle, DJ Head, and you just got to network.
Absolutely.
Just got to network.
You guys heard it first. Content equals currency.
Yes.
Put your stuff out there. You can't expect it to get out there on its own. Take advantage of all your social media platforms. Put yourself in proximity. Proximity is key. Build those relationships, build those partnerships, and those collaborations. You never know. You can meet one person, and that one person can change your life.
Yeah.
Like, you guys heard it first.
Honestly, it's crazy how things work out. Like, it's all you need is that one song, that one person, or whatever it is, and it could change a lot. Like, for instance, Carson, the TikTok guy, like, he's talented. Like, he plays, like, jazz, piano, like, his main thing, but doing those TikToks on the talk box and doing that for me, like, he
could have charged you.
Right? Exactly. And just super humble guy, man. And I think he lives in Chicago.
Oh shoot.
He lives far too, so the fact that he can recognize, you know, good music and do that, it just means a lot. And you know, we made a little partnership along the way.
That's pretty awesome. So cool. Maybe I'll add that video at the end of like behind the scenes and something.
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, Airick, it's always a pleasure having you, and like I said, you're always welcome here.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you again. You know, this is the second time having you on, and I'm very humbled, very honored, and you know, super proud of you and your accomplishments. You guys, make sure you guys get his album. It's dropping March 6th, right?
March 6th, yeah.
All
March 6th.
platforms.
All platforms. Literally, you can stream it that night, 12 a.m. But all platforms, March 6th. Imbalance, available everywhere March 6th. So go get it, pre-order it, do all that. And y'all can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, everything at Airick Geee. So AIRICK-G with 3 E's. And, you know, thank you for having me again.
Yeah,
like
it
means a lot to me coming here and to tell my story, and you allowing me to have this platform, and for others too, because I actually just seen you post something. So congrats to you and the Unbreakable Podcast for being, what was the number on Apple?
So I don't look at the analytics at all, but come to find out, our first month, it was because we dropped August 23rd to September.
Yeah.
That was our first episode. Within that month, we hit top 105 in the entrepreneur space in the U.S.
That's crazy.
And then what was it? On the 24th of last month, we hit top 244, the same charts in the United States. And we've already hit, 30 countries?
That's crazy.
So it's one of those things like, man, like sometimes you feel like nobody's listening, nobody's watching. You know what I mean? But you got to be consistent. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, I want to provide, like I said, I'm so down for having you on again, but I want to be able to provide that value.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's what can we do? How can we serve other people? And I know like you're serving within your music, you know? So like I said, I'm extremely grateful, and, you know, I'm super proud of you, and you always
Thank
have
you.
our support.
Thank you.
And you guys heard it first. We'll make sure to drop the links below, and also make sure to follow the UnBreakables podcast on all streaming platforms, on YouTube, Instagram. And if you guys can leave your feedback, leave a review on iTunes, that would be great. And appreciate all of you guys. Remember, you guys are all unbreakable.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.